Hi, welcome to What's New in Nature. My name is LuAnn, and I work at the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library Schlagle Library branch. Each week we've been bringing you videos about what's happening new in nature in Kansas City. And things in nature happen at certain times. Many wildflowers only bloom a few weeks a year, whether it's the spring or the fall. Hummingbirds usually arrive in mid-April and leave us by October, while the monarch butterflies usually leave us in September on their migration, and we don't get to see them again until April. There's a name for the study of these observable phases in plant and animal life, and what we've been studying the last few weeks is called phenology. The word phenology sounds like funology, which it really is, but it's spelled like this. Phenology is fascinating. You might not have ever heard of the word phenology before, but you know phenology. For example, what time of year do leaves change this color? In the fall, right? You know that. What time of year do robins build their nest? It's a real robin's nest right here. In the spring, right? So we know those seasonal changes. Those are just a few things that kind of help us point to phenology. Phenology is noticing those natural changes throughout the seasons, very specific changes in very specific times. And phenology is influenced by the seasons, by climate, and by habitat changes. There are several classic authors who wrote about nature in a phenological style. Henry David Thoreau is one of them, you may be familiar with. He wrote about his time at Walden Pond in Concord, Massachusetts, and how nature changed there. Aldo Leopold is another author and conservationist who wrote a Sand County Almanac. A Sand County Almanac was written by Aldo Leopold and published in 1948. But Leopold himself says that in these essays and sketches of the natural world, there are things he learned over 40 years of time, things in nature that have changed and have taught him his land ethic. My favorite essay of his is called A Prairie Birthday, and I'll read you a passage from that now.
Prairie Birthday. During every week from April to September, there are, on the average, 10 wild plants coming into first bloom. In June, as many as a dozen species may burst their buds on a single day. No man can heed all of these birthdays. No man can ignore all of them. He who steps unseen on May dandelions may be hauled up short by August ragweed pollen. He who ignores the ruddy haze of April elms may skid his car on the fallen corollas of June catalpas. Tell me of what plant birthday a man takes notice, and I shall tell you a great deal about his vocation, his hobbies, his hay fever, and the general level of his ecological education. There are lots of great books and even calendars out there that can help you track phenology.
One interesting thing to do is to keep your own phenology journal. I keep one for what happens in my backyard and around my neighborhood. I use something like this, and pretty much you just have to have the dates. So you don't want the year. So I have like March 12th, March 13th, 14th, 15th, but I don't have a year because I add that year in later.
You want to arrange it by day. So you'd have the month, like March, and the day, like the 12th. And next to that, like here's an example of mine. The daffodils in my yard bloomed on March 12th in 2020. Now let's say I see something else interesting on March 12th in 2023. I can add that in there too, and I just put the date, the year next to it, so I can see how things change over time. For example, down here I had that the red buds were blooming on March 17th in the year 2012, whereas if I switch to April 17th, the redwood was in full bloom on April 17th in 2013. And this is how you can kind of see the changes that take place right around your home. It's very interesting to just really observe that nature right around in your neighborhood. If you really dig phenology, then you might be interested in putting your phenology fix to good scientific use by helping out with a variety of citizen science projects, like this one, Project Bud.
Thanks for joining us today on What's New in Nature, and we hope to see you soon out here at the Schlagle Library. Until then, get outside, explore your neighborhood, explore out here around the library site, and have some fun with phenology.